All right. Welcome. Welcome to the Mountie Academic Planning Workshop. My name is Emily Versace, and I'm a counselor here at Mount SAC. And we have lots of great counselors here today. If you turn around, you'll see there's 2 counselors here. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Silver Calcella.
I'm Patricia Sipple.
So, look at this ratio, like 3 to all of you. You guys are in good hands today, right? So, you've already introduced yourself, and you've already shared the following. So, thank you for getting to know each other and thinking a little bit about what you want to learn. I'm curious, from your conversations, what's something you want to learn today? About school. Want to know a little bit about how Mount SAC works and what you can do here?
Yeah.
Great. Anything else?
Classes.
Classes. We all want to know, what classes do we need to finish and graduate, right? Good news, we are covering that today, okay? So, let's talk about what we're actually going, what you actually need to register. So the first step is you need to apply for Mount SAC. Check. I think you've all applied to Mount SAC, right? You need to complete the online NSO. Has everyone done that?
Yes.
Okay, if you haven't done it, it's okay. You just have to do it before you can register. There'll be a hold on your account until you do it. Third is complete the math assessment and English assessment questionnaire. Has everyone done the AQ assessment questionnaire? Great. So now you're on step 4. Complete the Mountie Academic Planning Workshop. Yay! And once you've completed this, the benefit you get is you will get the best registration date you can get. So if people haven't completed these 4 steps, their registration date isn't as good. But if you've completed these 4, which you will all do today, you'll have the best possible registration date for you, okay? So here's what we're gonna cover. We're gonna look at the Mount SAC majors and do a little bit of career exploration. We're gonna look at the options you have here, certificates, associate degrees, and transfer prep to 4-year schools. You're gonna learn how to register for classes, so you'll know what to do. And you're gonna develop your first semester education plan. So you're gonna know what you wanna take. Now, are any of you gonna try to take a spring class, or are you starting in the summer? So if you're planning to start in the summer, raise your hand. All right, you already started. Good, welcome. Okay, great. So that's fine. I just wondered if anyone needed some help finding a last-minute class. Sounds like you don't, so that will make it easy for me. Okay. All right, so let's start talking about major and career options. So I'm going to show you a little video. So please watch and enjoy. This is where we find out if the volume is on. Well, my video's not working, but good news, I know how to find it myself.
Welcome to college. This is an exciting time, and we want you to be successful, not only here, but in your first career as well. You have a lot of decisions to make, and we're going to share some information about what the job market looks like to help you make the best decision possible. We know making decisions about your future can be scary. Maybe you're fearful of making the wrong choice, and you might even feel stuck or paralyzed into not making any decisions at all. Did you know that feeling some stress is a sign that you care about your future when you take your education seriously? You might be more ready to begin this process than you think. It's all about gathering the information you need about both yourself and possible careers after college. The more information you gather now, the better decisions you'll make about selecting a major and choosing a career. You've probably received a lot of advice about what to study, and some of it may be true. But let's start by tackling the myth that you must get a 4-year degree to get a good job and a high salary. The labor market has dramatically changed, and this myth has actually caused about half of recent university graduates to be underemployed, taking positions that do not require the education they have received, and often with debt they cannot afford. You see, the true ratio of education to jobs in our economy is 1 to 7, meaning that for every occupation that requires a master's degree or above, 2 require a 4-year university degree, and over half a dozen jobs require a 1-year certificate or a 2-year degree. So there are many more job opportunities for individuals that graduate from the community college. And each of these technicians are in very high-skilled areas that are in great demand. Even Harvard University predicts only 33% of all American jobs in the future will require a 4-year degree or more. So you've made a wise decision to attend a community college. The way you ensure long-term employment success and earn the highest income is to develop the skills that align with employer expectations and needs. Nationally, 25% of associate degree holders earn more than $72,000 annually, and 25% of bachelor's degree holders earn less than $35,000. And this is part of the reason why about 4 out of every 5 community college graduates have the same annual income as those with a 4-year university degree. In today's world, having marketable skills and perfecting what you are good at is more valuable than getting a degree in something simply to get one. Formal education does count, and a 4-year degree may ultimately be the perfect choice for you depending on your career plans. But because of the misalignment between many degrees and job skills, employers now want to know what you can do and what you can do well, not just what degree hangs on your wall. In today's world, your skills and career preparation are the new currency. In the community college system, you will be able to learn and apply the skills that employers value in a short amount of time. It's important that you move quickly so you don't waste time or money taking unnecessary courses while you're here. And we have lots of resources to help you along the way. All you need to do is decide to take action. Are you ready to get started? Stay focused and have fun becoming an expert in yourself and the job market. Research everything there is to know about your future career. This knowledge will keep you moving forward and prepare you for future success. So let's go. Click the links to learn more about all the resources available for you.
All right. So, I just wanted to let you know, in a little while, we might have some visitors that are coming in, again, to watch me. So just, know they're coming in, they're gonna sit down, they'll be here for a few minutes, and then they'll leave, but no big deal, okay? Just don't want you to be surprised. So what I'd like you to do is think about what you just learned from the video and share with your neighbor what you learned, or what you found interesting, or what surprised you. Go.
Job in chiropractic, big seats, technical institute, third high school.
All right. I would love to hear from you. What did you get from that video?
The Harvard statistic that 33% of employers require a degree.
Yes.
4 years.
Yes. Was that surprising to you, or had you heard that before?
That's pretty surprising.
Pretty surprising. Any others? All right. So, why are we showing you this video? The reason we're doing it is because we want you to start thinking about your career and your major now. A lot of students come to community college and they're really not sure what they want to do. Sometimes they don't even know what they want to major in. And I totally get that because that was me when I started. I had an idea, I thought I want to be an elementary school teacher, but I wasn't really sure. I just picked something to pick it. And the sooner you start thinking critically about what is it that I want to do? What do I like? What are my values? How much money do I need to make? What kind of work environment do I want to be in? The sooner you start thinking about those things and learning about yourself in the job market, the more likely that you're going to choose a major and a career that are a good fit for you earlier on. And that will save you money because you won't take extra classes trying to figure it out, okay? So let's talk about a major and a career. Open up your workbooks and go ahead and put major and fill in a set of courses you need to take to meet the major requirements of a certificate or degree. And then fill in the blank here for career. It's made up of the actual work you do. at your occupation, it may be directly related to your major or not connected at all. So I'll give you a second to fill in those blanks. So I want to just kind of off of that video, I also want to say, we don't have a goal of telling you you should do an associate's degree instead of a bachelor's degree, or you should do a bachelor's degree instead of an associate's degree. What we want you to do is figure out, what is the job I want to do, where do I want to work, and what do I need for that job? So I went to community college, I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. I started working at a camp, and I realized I like talking to adults more than little kids. So I changed my major. I decided I wanted to be a counselor. So I got my associate's degree in community college. I transferred to UC Irvine, got a bachelor's degree in history, and then I got my master's degree in counseling. Now my cousin, he decided he wanted to be a nurse. And so he got an associate's degree in nursing. Who was in school longer?
You.
Okay, who spent more money on school? Who made more money the first year out of college?
Probably him.
It was him, okay? Now, does that mean that I'm smarter because I got a master's? No. Does it mean he's smarter because he saved a lot of money and time? No. We are equally smart because we both figured out what we wanted to do and we got the degree that was required. I don't wish I got my RN license because I'm not a big fan of body fluids. That's a part of being a nurse, right? So we want you to open your mind and think, what is it I would like to do? Will it give me the income I need? What's the degree required for that? I have a friend, he just retired after being a welder his whole life. He loved his job as a welder. He loved it. He made enough money to support his family. Now he's enjoying a good retirement. I asked him, do you ever regret that you became a welder? He's like, no, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. So figure out what you love to do. It might be being a welder. It might be going to graduate school and becoming a doctor. We want to help you whatever your goal is so that you can have the successful life that you want, okay? So let's dive deeper into the career and the major. So the major is the set of courses, right? These are the classes you're taking to learn your subject. And you're using those requirements to get a certificate or a degree. A career is made up of the actual work that you do. So sometimes these are very connected, sometimes they're not connected at all. So let's look at a couple examples. What career can a major in nursing lead to? So if I major in nursing, what career could I get when I'm done? Being a nurse, right? Yes, being a nurse. So there are a set of careers like nursing, engineering, airplane mechanic, respiratory therapy, welding, and many more where you need a specific major, right? I can't take my history degree and say, just train me, I'll be a great nurse. They're like, no, you need to take the actual nursing classes to do this, right? So if you are interested in one of these types of careers, you want to figure out your major as soon as you can so that you don't, keep changing majors and taking extra classes. What career can a major in English lead to? Teaching. Counseling. Yes. Any other ideas?
Journalism.
Journalism, absolutely. Any others? Maybe being an editor, right? Maybe working in a business, doing like, writing manuals, instruction manuals. So many options. If you get a bachelor's degree in English, there's many different things you can do. And for careers in places like education, government, business, nonprofits, and others, you could take your major and you could use it for all kinds of things. My major is in history. When people think of history, they don't always think of, well, you could be a history teacher or a historian. But with my bachelor's degree, I was able to get a job as a substitute teacher. I was able to get a job as an educational advisor. There were different jobs I could get with that degree. But I would recommend, you want to get some experience while you're in college if you get a degree like English so you can have your job skills and your degree together. That's a very, very powerful combination. And as you mentioned, you said counseling. A lot of these degrees, like English, can be a great foundation for going on to graduate school. So what you would do is you'd get your associate degree here, you'd transfer, or you don't even have to get an associate's. Either way, you start here, you transfer, you get your bachelor's, and then you would apply to graduate school to get a master's degree or a doctorate degree. So that's kind of how it works. So all of those are great ways to go. Now, we want to give you a chance to kind of explore what's out there. You may have come in here today and you're like, I know my major, and I think that is awesome. If you come in and you already know what you want to do, that's great. If you're coming in today, you're like, maybe I've got an idea, but what else is out there? We want to give you a chance to explore and think about what would be a good fit for you. So take a look. You should all have an envelope in front of you. All right, I'm going to show you how to do this. So at Mount SAC, we've got over 300 different program options, and we thought giving you a list of 300 things might be a little overwhelming. So instead, we came up with 9 different categories of majors. So if you look at each card, it's got a category on it, and if you flip over to the back, you'll see it's got a little bit of information about who these majors might appeal to, and then it has a list of majors we offer here at Mount SAC. Some of you didn't get envelopes.
Yeah, I think this one.
Oh, okay, well, good news, I've got more. I've got more. So let me just finish explaining it, and then we'll make sure you get your envelope. So flip to your page in your workbook. And what we want you to do is this page, you're gonna pick out what 3 cards are your favorite, and then you're gonna look at the majors and write down any majors that you think you'd like to learn more about. Now I'm gonna say if you came in here today and you're like, I know my major, none of these are interesting to me, you can just put your major down. But if you have others that you're interested in, you can do that. So in the gray, you're gonna write the card. So I could put arts and design if that was my favorite. Then I'd look on the back and I'd say, okay, I like fashion as a major, I like interior design as a major, I like theater arts. And so I would write those. Does everyone understand how to fill this out? All right, and it looks like you guys got cards. Yay! Thank you for everyone who's assisting. So go ahead and take a few minutes and look through what we have here. No problem. I'm gonna give you about 40 seconds more to just finish up. All right. Did you see some majors on here that you didn't know we had?
Yeah.
There's a lot of options here, isn't there? So we want to give you as much help as we can so that the decision-making process is not stressful, but we can help guide you through it. So we have a few options for you. One is I highly recommend this class. It's Counseling 5. It counts as a general education class towards an associate degree here. It also counts as a general education course if you transfer to a Cal State. So it's a very useful class. And basically what we do for the whole semester is we help you learn about your interest, skills, your personality, your values, what do you want out of a career. So you learn about yourself, and then you learn about the job market and see which of those are good for you. Then you learn how to make like a resume and a cover letter and an action plan to help you get where you want to go. So really, really great class, especially if you're a little bit undecided, and it will give you a chance to explore all these majors that you wrote down. Now, we also have workshops. So if you're not ready to take a class, but you're thinking, I'd like some help. I'm trying to decide between a couple of majors. We have an undecided major workshop. You can just call the counseling office to schedule it. We have them every day, but you have to sign up in advance because they do fill up. It's a very small group. It's very interactive. You get to take a career assessment. Do I recommend it? Yes, 2 thumbs up. These are really, really great workshops. So we want to help you figure out what your major is, okay? So let's talk about summer. Let's see if my video will play this time. Yes, it's doing it.
I chose to start Mount Fabulous Summer because I feel I have more of an advantage over the students who start in the fall.
I chose to start Mount Sac in the summer, just to get a head start, and just to see what really is on campus and get an idea of what you get yourself into before you start in the fall.
Being in summer benefited me because I got to meet new people, I made some new friends. The counselor helped me choose my classes. He helped me think more about what my courses should be for my major, and I had a lot of fun.
Being part of the summer program benefited me from, I came out of my shell. I finally figured out that, college is right for me because at the beginning I didn't think I was, supposed to be in college. I didn't think I was worthy enough. I thought I was just going to work. So it really opened up my eyes and it made me realize, college is for me. I want to keep coming to school, I want to graduate, and I want to transfer.
It really benefited me to be in a summer program. The reason why is they'll learn a lot about everything about college, especially in summer. Most programs here are tours. Like they really try to show you everything about college, to the units, to what classes to take, your major. So they really specify what college is. So I think summer learning about that in 6 weeks is really beneficial and stuff like that.
Starting in the summer benefited me just because I was able to see what was on campus, and meeting new people in the summer really helped as well, just to have a couple of close friends to start off in the fall. Especially helps out when you're at a new school.
advice I would give to people would be to take in summer because you get to learn more about the campus, more about the programs they offer, and when you start in fall, then you fit right in.
I would definitely advise you to start in the summer because you're able to connect with your colleagues here, and you're going to get the extra support you need from the summer program. And I feel that it's best for you to stay connected and network for the people that you can right now in the summer before you start in the fall, so that when you start in the fall, you feel more comfortable.
Alright, so we have 2 summer programs I want you to know about, and I gave you a flyer for each one. So one of them is the Bridge program. Have any of you heard of the Bridge program? It's a really famous Mount SAC program. We've had it for many years. It's a really fantastic program. It's 6 weeks long. You can get 5 to 6 college units. Usually you'll take 3 classes in the summer, and you'll go to class from Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 3:30. So contact the Summer Bridge office if you're interested in it. It's a really, really fantastic program. They give you a lot of support. They will let you borrow books so you don't have to buy books. It's just an amazing program. And then we also have the STEP program in the summer. With the STEP program, you take 1 class. It's only 2 weeks long. It's intro to college. So it's a 1-unit class. It's transferable. It would count towards elective credit. And with both the Bridge program and the STEP program, we've got some really cool things you get. One is you get a free loaner laptop for the semester. You get a $250 book grant for the fall. You get a free bus pass. You get a $100 food card, a free student planner. You get a t-shirt, that's pretty cool, right? And then you get a lot of extra support, counseling, coaching, tutoring, all of that. So this is pretty awesome. They didn't have this when I was in college, and I would have loved it. So these are some great benefits to just take 1 unit class for 2 weeks, and it's every day for 2 weeks. So you just come 2 weeks, then you're done. Or do Summer Bridge and actually get 6 units, possibly 5 to 6 units done over the summer. That will give you a really great head start. So highly recommend it, okay? Definitely check those out. So go ahead and open your workbooks, and we're gonna look at using your worksheets. So what can you do at Mount SAC? So I want you to go ahead and fill in these squares and write certificate, associate degree, transfer. These are the 3 educational options we have here at Mount SAC. All right, so these are the main things we're going to talk about, and we're going to go through them one by one. So let's start with what is needed to earn a certificate. What do you think? I'm going to give you a hint. It's on the slide. Yes?
Major courses?
Yes, major courses. So go ahead and write that in your circle. You're going to need to take a set of classes in your major. And the purpose of a certificate is to get job training. For all of our certificates and for many of our associate degrees, we actually have a group of people come in, an advisory board that hire people that that graduate from here. And they tell us these are the skills we need people to have so we can hire them. And then they build the courses around what skills are needed. So this is really, certificates are really, really good for job training. You can do your certificate, all your classes relate to your major, and then you're able to get a job. So for example, if you wanted a certificate in child development, all your classes would be child development related classes. If you wanted to get a certificate in welding, all your classes would be welding classes. So that's what major classes mean. It's a class that's related to your program of study, okay? So what is needed to earn an associate's degree? So go ahead and fill in major courses, general education, and electives if needed. So what do you see that's different from the certificate?
The general education electives.
Yeah, general education and electives. So major classes are directly related to what you want to study. You could also get an associate degree in child development. So if you did that, all your major classes would be the child development classes, this specific set. Then we would add general education. So general education is kind of like what you did in high school, right? It's English, it's math, it's history, it's science, it's classes from general areas. And we're going to give you a list a little bit later today that will show you what are the classes you can choose from to meet your general education requirements. Now the final thing is you need to have 60 units to get an associate's degree. With certificates, it could be any amount. Like one certificate might be 18 units, another certificate might be 30 units. And units are kind of like credits from high school. Most classes were like 5 credits in high school. Most our classes are 3 units. Some are more, some are less. But you could have a lot of variety in the certificates. For the associate degrees, all of them are a minimum of 60 units. So if you think the average class is about 3 units, that's like about 20 classes, right? About. A little more, a little less, depending on each class, how many units it is. So sometimes you do all your major classes on the list, you do all your general ed on the list, and then you're like, oh, I only have 50 units. So you're gonna need to take elective courses to fill in those 10 units so that you have the 60 for your associate's degree. And you get to pick any class you want. So my associate's degree was in liberal studies. It's a major that a lot of people who transfer go with. We have different emphasis for that. But I loved to sing, and I needed some elective courses, so I took a singing class, and I took a theater class. Had nothing to do with my major, which was history, right? But it filled in those electives to get to the 60 units. Now, if you're a major like engineering or nursing, high unit majors like that, you add all the major and all the GE, and you're over 60 units, so you don't need electives for those classes. Do you feel like you kind of have an idea of what an associate degree looks like now? Okay. And we're going to go over the specific graduation requirements a little bit later, but we wanted you to kind of have a big picture view. So let's watch another video. All right. Got to work on these links.
So, you are thinking about transferring and earning a bachelor's degree. Well, here at Mount SAC, we are ready to help you. Depending on your career goal, getting a bachelor's degree could be a great choice. Many high-paying jobs require a bachelor's degree. You can learn transferable skills that many employers look for. You can also use your bachelor's degree as a first step towards a credential, a master's degree, a doctorate degree, and there are many career options, including being a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, or a scientist. Mount SAC students have great success in transferring to universities. Out of all community colleges in California, Mount SAC is ranked in the top 10 for helping students transfer to earn their bachelor's degrees. Where do our students go? To UC universities like UCLA and UC Riverside, to Cal States like Cal Poly Pomona and Cal State Fullerton, and to private schools like USC and University of Laverne. We even have students who transfer out of state to schools like NYU. Once they've transferred, community college students do great. They succeed at the same or better rate as students who started at the university as freshmen. Our students go on to do incredible things. Whatever your goal is, we are here to help you.
All right. Back to the PowerPoint. All right, so
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
there we go. Nice. All right, so we want to talk to you guys a little bit about transfer. So a lot of students, when they come to community colleges, they're very interested in transferring because they want to get that bachelor's degree. They'll start here, do half here, do half there. And we have a lot of students who like to transfer to UCs and Cal States because these are public schools that are a little bit less expensive. So this is just a list of different UC campuses that you could transfer to from Mount SAC. And as you heard from the video, we are really good at helping people transfer, right? So You do well here, you're gonna do great at your next university. We also wanna talk to you guys about California State Universities. So we have a lot of California State Universities. Look, this is us, right next to Pomona. Look how many Cal States are nearby. For the UCs, the close ones are Irvine, Los Angeles, and Riverside. For the Cal States, we've got like 6 close by, Pomona being the closest since we're practically next door neighbors, right? We'll help you transfer to any of these schools, close or far away, all the way up to Humboldt, almost in Oregon, right? So these are some of the schools you can transfer to. We want to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Community college is where you're going to do your freshman and sophomore years, so to speak. Then you transfer, and at the university, you're going to do your junior and senior year. And that's what it looks like when you transfer. So we've got our bubble again, right? The stuff that's in red is what you're going to do at Mount SAC. So what do you need at Mount SAC? Go ahead and fill in the worksheet. Put major prep, general education, and electives if needed. So you might be thinking, this looks a lot like the associate's degree, right? Now, here are some differences. Instead of writing major classes, we're writing major preparation, because what you're doing is you're looking at the university you want to transfer to. What are students there doing their first and second year in college to prepare themselves for classes that are called upper division? So upper division are like junior, senior level classes. Lower division are freshman, sophomore level classes. So you're going to be preparing for your major by taking classes that relate to your major. So again, you can actually even get a bachelor's degree in child development, so it could still be a set of child development classes, right? Then you're going to do general ed. What's different is you're not going to use the general ed sheet for a Mount SAC associate's degree. You're going to use a transfer general ed sheet, which looks different. And we're going to go over those in detail. And then last, again, you might need electives. So me, I transferred to UC Irvine. I was a history major. I did all my general ed, I did all my history, I still needed more. So, as you know, I took my choir classes. They were transferable, it was really fun. Now I can sing very prettily. So that's the first half of your bachelor's. So picture this whole circle as your bachelor's. So the first half you do at Mount SAC, then the second half you do at a Cal State or UC. You're gonna do your upper division general ed. Usually it's only a couple of classes. Most general ed is lower division. And then you're gonna take a lot of major classes. I like to be cute and say, major classes, because you take so many major classes after you transfer, okay? And you might need more electives too, if you don't hit the degree requirement for the bachelor's. High unit majors, you don't have to worry about it. So if engineering's your goal, you don't need to come up with a bunch of electives, all right? You're gonna do 60 units here at Mount SAC. You wanna make sure they're transferable, and you wanna make sure you meet all the transfer requirements. So when you meet with a counselor and make an education plan, we're gonna go over in detail exactly what is required for you and your transfer plan, okay? And then you transfer to the Cal State or UC, do about 60 more, depending on your major. High unit majors, they'll make you go over that, right? Now, some of you might be thinking, but I wanna go to a private school or an out-of-state school. We will help you do that, but not here, because there's a million out-of-state private schools, maybe not a million, but lots. And they don't have a lot in common. Whereas all the UCs have a set of guidelines we follow, all the Cal States have a set of guidelines we follow, so that's very easy to show you in a group. Private colleges, come meet with us one-on-one. We will go over what you need, because they're all different, okay? So, turn and talk, tell your neighbor, what is the difference between a certificate, an associate degree, and transfer? Go!
Like the specialty
pages you get or no?
All right, so let's hear it. What's different between a certificate and associate's degree?
Yeah, general education.
General education. So it's funny you said you make more money. In ways, often, they show you that little scale in education, like if you have a high school diploma, you make this much, if you get certificate this much, associate degree transfer. But like I showed you with my nurse example, it's not always that way. The job you get determines the money you make. But often the more education you get, the more money you get. Often that is the case, but there's always exceptions. Anything else different besides the general ed? Electives, you might need electives because you have to do 60 units, right? The certificate doesn't have a standard amount. Each certificate has their own number of units. Associate degree, you may need electives to get to 60 units. Great. What's the difference between getting an associate degree and transferring? Oh, say it again?
It transfers to get your bachelor's.
Yeah, transferring is with the goal to get your bachelor's. You're doing the first half here, then you're going somewhere else and finishing and getting that bachelor's degree. Great.
She already answered it.
She said the same thing as you. Okay, good. You guys are winning. Good job. You know what's up. All right, so let's look at what is a major course. A major course is going to be your primary area of study. So if your major is psychology, it's likely you'd take a class like Intro to Psychology and other courses related to the subject. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how do you find your major classes, okay? So the first place is if you want to get a certificate or an associate degree, you are going to get your major classes from the catalog. The catalog is an online resource that tells you the requirements for every major at Mount SAC. I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? Woo! So let me show you what that looks like. So you go to mountsac.edu /catalog. Well, it doesn't want me to do it, but that's okay because I always have a backup plan. All right, so here it is. I guess I did get it. All right, I want to show you how to get there though. You can just do mountsac.edu /catalog. But if you can't remember, you can also go to our main page and it's right here, Programs and Majors Catalog. So this is for certificates and associate degrees. Click Explore Degree and Certificate Programs. And you can search a number of ways. If you look at the A through Z index, you can find everything in alphabetical order. But see here where it says career clusters? These match those 9 cards you got. So let's say you were interested in something for arts and design. You'll see all the majors that are arts and design majors. So let's say I was interested in animation. This shows me all the different majors in animation. So I could look at this certificate. You'll know it's an associate degree if it says AS or AST or AA next to it. Otherwise, these are all certificates. So you can see here is an animation and gaming certificate if you want to design video games. You take this set of classes, that's 13.5 units, and you've finished your major. If you want, you can go on and get the second level certificate, and then it shows you the additional classes that you need to take. And if you click on it, it will give you info about what the prerequisites are. We'll talk about that later, but just know this is where you find your major classes. And same thing for associate degrees. The associate degree classes are listed here as well. So you'll know exactly what you need to take. Here they give you a list of core courses, and then they have you pick one from the following. So, does that make sense to you guys? Do you feel like you kind of got an idea of how to look up your major classes? Okay, so now you might be thinking, but I want to transfer, that's my main goal. So, assist.org is a really wonderful website to go to find your major classes for transfer. And I want to say Assist is great because it shows you the major classes by campus and by major. So for example, let's say you wanted to go to Cal Poly Pomona and you wanted to study anthropology. Let's see what that would look like. Well, you go to assist.org and there's lots of ways to explore it. I'm going to show you my favorite way, okay? You click Explore Majors, and then we know we want to go to a Cal State, Cal Poly Pomona, so we'll click that. Then I'll click on Pomona. Then I'll find my major. So you can see here, this is a list of every major at Cal Poly. So if you're wondering, hey, I wonder what the options are if I want to go to this school, you can see them here. So we'll look up and we'll find anthropology. Now, if I click here, it will take me to the anthropology website. Here it will show me what general ed pattern they want. They say CSU GE or IGETC, yes. And then I can pick out Mount SAC, which is where you guys are going. Click continue. Mount SAC, and I just kind of follow this line all the way to the end and click on major prep. Now, I like to click on the printer-friendly version, but you can decide. So, if you see, up here, it gives you information about the program. On this side is the Cal Poly side, okay? On this side is the Mount SAC side. Do you see how at the top it says Cal Poly and Mount SAC? All right, so let me scroll down a little, and you'll see it shows required core courses. I think I've got a little red thing here. So if you were a freshman at Cal Poly Pomona and you want to be an anthropology major, this is the class you would take. But you are at Mount SAC, so you are going to take Anthropology 1 instead. And what this basically is telling you is if you go to Cal Poly Pomona, when you get there, they will say, all right, you did by Anthropology 1, so now this class is finished. You don't have to take that class anymore. They're equivalent. Does that make sense? So this is an amazing website. It's free. You can use it from home. You can explore it yourself. And it will give you every major that that school has and what agreement we have with them. If you pick a school that's really far away, you may not have an agreement for every single major, but we can still help you. Just come and see us counselors, okay? But for most majors in most schools, we have agreements like this. We call them articulation agreements. I think of it as a pre-agreement. We agreed that these two classes are close enough, you won't have to repeat it, okay? Do you guys feel like you get how this works? So I want to show you just one or two more examples. So another way you can search besides just going to the Cal State system is if you know what your major is. You can search by an area of study, or you can even just type it in. Economics. All right, so I looked up economics. This will show me every Cal State and UC that has that major. So it looks like almost everywhere has economics, but majors like nursing, there's only a few schools. So this is another way to search. And if we wanted to go to like UCLA or UC Irvine, let's try UC Irvine here. We do the same thing, go to Mount SAC. And we get our major prep list. And what I'm going to show you on this one is you'll see with UCs, for every school it's important to read the top, but for UCs especially, they will sometimes give you some information. People are sometimes surprised to know that you can actually transfer without having all your GE done, or without having all your major prep done. What do you think is better, to have it all done or not done? All done, right? We might as well do it. We've got 60 units, save the money. But if you're missing a class, you could potentially still transfer. Now, but this is giving you info. For econ at UCI, you must have one course in microeconomics, one course in macro, 2 quarters or semesters of calculus, or they're not going to look at you. So there's really, really good, important info on here. All right? So that is assist. That's to fill that major prep section of your transfer bubble. Okay? So now, let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, now, we love options, right? So now you've looked at how to find your Cal State and UC major classes, but there's actually another option for major classes, and that is through an associate degree for transfer. So we have AATs and ASTs. What's different than this from the transfer bubble? I'm going to show you. You still are doing major courses, you're still doing general ed, you're still doing electives if needed, but your major prep comes from the catalog instead of from assist. This is really designed for Cal States. We have people who get an AAT and then look at assist as well and transfer to a UC, so that's totally a possibility. But most people who do the AATs, they're really looking to get into a Cal State. And what's nice is you could just do this one degree and it will work for multiple colleges. So you could get like an AAT in business or AST in business, and apply to Cal Poly Mona, Cal State Fullerton, a whole bunch of Cal States. And you're not looking at all these different assist sheets because some schools are different than others when it comes to the major prep on assist. So that's really convenient. So you get your major prep from the catalog instead of assist. You're going to use a transfer general ed pattern, either the CSU or IDETSI, which we're going to go over. And it works for most Cal State campuses. But there's always got to be exceptions, right? So each Cal State gets to decide if they think our associate degree is similar enough to count it. So there's a few schools that say no, but for in general, most of the time it works really, really well. And just ask a counselor, will this work for the school I want to go to? And we can look up that information very easily. For a lot of them, we already know it off the top of our heads, but we will show you how to check, okay? But this can be really good. It also guarantees that you will get into a Cal State. If you have an associate degree for transfer and you apply to a school and you don't get in, they will get you into some other Cal State. It might be up north, it might be in Central California, it may not be close, but you get in somewhere, and they promise you won't have to take more than 60 units after you transfer, which is really nice, get you in and out and finish that degree. All right, do you guys feel like you know the difference between an AAT and an AA? What's the difference? Yes?
The AA is just going to be your associates, where the AAT is going to be transferable as well.
Yes. So the funny thing is, most of the classes in our AAs are transferable, not all, but most. The biggest difference is you're going to use general ed, that's the transfer general ed pattern, and you're going to be meeting, you need the 60 transferable units and to meet the requirements to transfer to a Cal State. But it looks very similar. You walk at graduation, you're all together in the same robes and hats. It's another degree, and you can put associate degree. Some people transfer without a degree, but transferring with a degree can be really useful because you might move when you transfer, and when you're looking for a new job, having a degree can be a really, really great thing. All right, so go ahead and look. These are all of our majors that we offer AAT. Flip back to where you wrote down the majors you were interested in and put a star next to it if you see that we have an AAT available. We don't have AATs for every major. If you want to do engineering, we don't have one, but if you want to do English or history or journalism, that might be an option you want to consider. So I'll give you a second to do that. All right, so if your major is up here, you have a choice. You could do the AAT or you could go to assist. But if you want to go to a UC, I highly recommend just looking at assist. We counselors will tell you if you're close to an associate degree and you could get an associate on the way, you might do an AA instead of an AAT. All right, so where can you find your major list? Go ahead and look in your packet. I wrote them down for you. If you want a certificate or an associate degree, including the AAT, you're going to look in the catalog. If you're transferring to a Cal State or a UC and you want to do it campus by campus, you're going to look at assist to get your major prep. All right, so turn and tell your neighbor, where are you planning to find your major sheet?
Thank you for allowing us to visit.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to go visit Equity Center now.
Okay, great.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to crash your classes. Good luck with your future.
And if you guys want, you can teach souvenirs and make one. So, you can see lots of fun.
Silver, you look really good at hopefully this will help. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, do you guys all know where you're going to look for your goal, for your major? How many of you plan to use the catalog to find your major classes? All right, a couple. How many of you plan to use assist? All right, quite a few of you. So we'll help you a little bit later find your actual one. Now we're going to go over general eds. And this, I want everyone to take a deep breath. When you take a deep breath, you are moving oxygen into your brain and preparing your brain to learn. And because this part can be a little repetitive, I want you to have all the brain power possible. So we're going to start with the associate degree. So if you want an AA or an AS, a local degree, this is the paper you're going to use. So pull it out, everyone pull it out, and grab your pen. I need a pen, so I'm going to get one. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need here, okay? So I want you to follow along with me. All right, so first of all, look at the top. This little section tells you everything you need for an associate's degree. You need 60 units. You need to meet the general education requirements. So you see number 2, that's going to be down here. Number 3, you need a PE class, physical well-being requirement. Any dance class or PE class can work, just a half unit is all you need. 4 is the reading requirement. So if you saw in the AQ you need reading 99, then you would need to take that class to meet the graduation requirement. Otherwise, there is a placement test you can take to try to place into Read 100. If you place into Read 100, you don't have to take any reading class, okay? And if you placed into Read 100 on the AQ, you don't need a reading class. This is only for the associates. Math, they want intermediate algebra or higher. You need to have a GPA of 2.0 or higher, that's C grades or higher. And you can average, if you get a D, you get an A, that still keeps you above 2.0. You need to do at least 12 units here at Mount SAC, and then you need to meet the major requirements that you find in the catalog. And then you need to petition for graduation. So that's all of it, okay? Now, let's look at our actual GE. So, another deep breath. Oxygen. Okay, so we see we've got area A1. And if you read in this little gray line, it actually tells you exactly what you need. So, communication in English language, 6 units minimum. Select at least 1 course from each group, A1, A2. So what I want you to do is right here, kind of in the border, I want you to draw a little number 1. Okay, I like to circle my ones. You get to decide if you want to circle it or not. But we're saying you need 1 class in this area, and that would be English 1A. Then there's speech. Now if you notice speech, there's a lot more options. Speech 1A, 2, 8, but you only need 1. So draw another little number 1 right there. See how I'm doing that? All right, now we get to science. You need a science as part of your GE. And this one's a little confusing because there's 2 boxes, but out of those 2 boxes, you only need 1 class. So I like to put my one kind of by this line, so I can remember, oh, 1 class out of either. And sometimes I draw little arrows to say 1 here or here. So how many science classes do you need? 1. That's it. All right, flip it over. And now we're looking at the back. So in category of the arts, so arts could be performing arts like theater, it could be fine arts like ceramics or painting, or you could just learn about art history or music history. There's a lot of choices here. You need 1 class, so draw another little 1 right there by the arts. Then if you go down to C2 humanities, you need 1 for that box. Just 1 class. This has foreign languages in it. It has some literature classes, humanities classes, some history classes. There's a lot of options. You just need 1. And then right below it, you see this little skinny box. You just need 1 class from that little skinny box. Those are all U.S. history or government classes. And then you can pick a social and behavioral science class from the giant box. So look underneath it. There should be another little 1 right here. And then last but not least is category E at the bottom, and that is also 1 class. All right? And I want to point out in category E, the very last class in the first column, what is that class? Counseling 5, Career and Life Planning. I told you it meant a GE, now you see where it goes. Okay, that's where it goes. So if you look, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes that you need to get your GE. But don't forget, you also need the reading requirement met, the math requirement met, and the PE requirement met. All right? So do you feel like you know what you need to do for general ed for an AA or AS? Yay! Set it aside. Take another deep breath. We are now on the yellow form. This form is great for all Cal States, and you are gonna notice it is so much like our associate degree form. In fact, our associate degree general ed is based on what the Cal States want. So if you do the associate degree form and then you're like, now I wanna go to a Cal State, all those areas are gonna meet a requirement on the Cal State GE. We wanna make it easy for you guys, okay? So now let's look and see what you need for Cal State. So, we're gonna start with category A. So, and again, if you read in the little gray box, it will tell you exactly what you need. But we know we need one speech class, so draw a little 1 next to A1. And you can kind of see up here, it says select one, select one, select one. Next to A2, we need English again. This is kind of familiar, right, from the first form? Then third, critical thinking. This is the first new class, okay? You don't need critical thinking for associate, you do need it for Cal State. So draw another little 1 there. Okay, so far, so good. Now let's look at what you need for science. And you'll notice the order is a little different. That's okay, don't let that throw you. Now we still have the 2 categories of science, right? But this time you need 2 classes. So you need 1 from the physical science, and you need 1 from the life science. All right, 1 each. And it gets even a little bit more complicated because one of those 2 classes has to have a lab. So I like to write on it in this little space, you know, kind of like here in this little lab activity area. All right, at least 1 with lab. So I'm gonna write that, you can write that too. At least 1 with lab. And you will know it has a lab if there's a plus sign next to it. So, anatomy 10A, it's under life sciences. Does that class have a lab with it? Anatomy 10A. Say it loud, you know it.
Yes.
Yes, because there's a plus sign. And if you look, it's 4 units. That means it has a lab. If it's 4 units or more, it has a lab. Now look at, let's see, look at astronomy. Astronomy 5, does that class have a lab? No, but if you look down, you'll see there's astronomy 5L. Is that a lab? How many units is it?
5.
Look at it, astronomy 5L, how many units? 1. So you could do astronomy as your lab class, you just do astronomy lecture, and then at the same time or afterwards, you take the 1 unit lab, and that will count. So you're gonna be doing either 2 or 3 classes. 2 if the lab is built in, 3 if you have to do the lab separate, okay? Let's move on to arts and humanities. All right, so just like with the local degree, you need 1 class from the arts. So I put a 1 up here and 1 class from the humanities. So I put a 1 down here. That's the same as the AS, yes. Oh, I skipped math. We should definitely include math. Thank you. I can tell you are very detail oriented. You're gonna do very well in school, okay? So B4, I skipped it, sorry guys, we'll go back. This is very important. You need 1 math class, all right? So just circle 1. And where for the associates you need an intermediate algebra, for this you need 1 level higher. You need a college level math like statistics or college algebra or pre-calculus. There's a lot of options. Check to see if your major has a math class in it. If it does, use that. If it doesn't have a math class in it, you can pick anything. Most people pick statistics because it's usable in a lot of different majors. But a counselor will help you decide, okay? So there we go, math, definitely, thank you, thank you. I would have been so upset if I skipped that, so thank you. All right, so 1 art, 1 humanities. This is the same as the associates, but now we're gonna add a 3rd class. So I draw it right in the middle again with my arrows because you need 3 classes total. And you can see up here, it says 3 courses, at least 1 from arts and 1 from humanities. So you could do 2 arts and 1 humanities, or 1 humanity, or 1 art and 2 humanities. So it could be either way. So that's how I like to draw it, 1, 1, and then 1 that can go either way. All right? Now, flip your paper over, and we're gonna do the general ed. I mean, we're gonna do social and behavioral sciences. So here, if you read it, says select 3 courses, minimum 9 units, with courses from at least 2 disciplines. And what that means is you don't want to take 3 classes that are all history, or 3 classes that are all psychology. You could do 2 psychology, 1 history, or you could do poli-sci, psych, and history. As long as they're not all 3 the same subject, they will work. But I have a tip for how to choose classes in this area, and I'm going to leave you on the edge of your seats, and I'm not going to tell you yet. But keep in mind, this is where my tip goes, okay? So I like to write here in this little space, I like to write 3 classes from at least 2 subjects. So go ahead and write that. I'll write it too. Or 3 classes from at least 2 subjects. And then you can put like a number 3 over here to remind you as well. I just don't want you to forget it needs to be from at least 2 subjects. And now, category E looks familiar. 1 course, just the same as the AS, so draw a 1. And look at the bottom of the first column. What do you see? Counseling 5. See, works for Cal States too. Oh yeah. Just think about it. There's lots of good classes there too. We just want to show you where it counts, okay? Now, I'm going to explain something confusing. So focus. And I'm going to give you my tip. So I know you were waiting for that. All right. So, at the Cal States, if you do everything I just showed you, you will be GE certified. And when you get to the Cal State, they'll say, you're done with lower division general ed, you're finished. But they have a graduation requirement of taking either, it's basically a US history and government requirement. And even if you do that whole list, they're still gonna make you take a history and government class if you didn't already do it. So to meet that graduation requirement, you could either take History 7 and 8 here at Mount SAC, or you could take one of these history classes and one of these poli-sci classes. If you do that, when you transfer, they'll say you are all done with general ed and you are all done with our American Institutions graduation requirement. So why not get 2 birds with 1 stone and take these classes as part of either your area, the social behavioral sciences, or some of the history classes can also count under humanities. So if you take these as your GE, you're like saving yourself some classes. Do you guys like my tip? That's right, here to save you money and time. Okay, so, deep breath again. We are now done with the Cal States. Say goodbye, Cal States. Only 2 people did it. One more time. Goodbye, Cal States. There we go. Nice. Now we are on the pink form. This is called the IGETC. Why do we call it the IGETC? Because intersegmental general education transfer curriculum takes too long. But what is this pink paper? This is a compromise, okay? This is an agreement not just with us, the community colleges, but with the Cal States and the UCs. Because that orange one only works for Cal States. The UCs came up with this one, and the Cal States said, you know what, if you do what the UCs want, we're good with that too. So if you do this, when you get to the Cal State, they will say, your GE is done. And when you get to the UC, they'll say, your GE is done. So if you're deciding between the Cal State and UC, this is the best one to take. Now, nothing in life is simple. So there are a few majors at the UCs that don't say yes to this. Your counselor will tell you if that's your major. But for the most part, this works for the vast majority of people wanting to go to a UC or a Cal State. So let's see what's different. All right, get your pen. You're gonna do your 1 for English. You're gonna do your 1 for critical thinking. You're gonna do your 1 for speech. Feeling familiar, right? Now, I want you to read, what does this say right here? Yes, Cal State requirement only. That means that if you are gung-ho and you're like, UC or bust, I don't want to go to a Cal State. If you don't take speech, you could get into a UC. The UCs don't care about speech. But you never know how life will change you. Like, I knew I wanted to go to UC Irvine, but something could have happened where it would be hard for me to move out, or I'd need to stay closer to home. If I didn't have speech, I could not get into any Cal State. They will not let you in. So I highly recommend taking speech as part of the IGETC, even if you're planning to go to UC. All right, next category. Math. Again, draw a number 1. you need one transferable math. If it's in your major, pick that math class, otherwise pick anything. A lot of people choose statistics, okay? Now we've got arts and humanities. This is gonna feel so easy now. One art, one humanity, and one art or humanity. Okay, just like before. Now you might be thinking, isn't this exactly the same? It isn't. There are some classes that you can count towards GE at a Cal State, like ceramics, for instance, would count as an art there, but for the UCs they don't. So this is a little bit shorter list of the classes. Now we look at social and behavioral sciences. Same thing, draw a 3 with a circle and write somewhere where there's space, 3 classes from at least 2 subjects, okay? You don't want all 3 to be history. And I just want to point out, you see poli-sci number 1 is here from the Cal States. If we go back to humanities, you can see we've got our history classes, history 7, history 8 are here. So, like I said before, you could choose those classes to double count. So if you end up going to a Cal State, you meet that GE requirement too. All right, so those are social and behavioral sciences. And now we're at biological sciences. Same thing as the Cal State. 1 in each category. So 1, 1. And you need one of those 2 has to have a lab. So write at least 1 with lab. Okay. Now you'll notice, is there a category E here? Is counseling 5 here? No. Alas, it is not. So you can see it's a little bit different than the Cal State one. But there is one more difference, okay? And that is the UC language requirement. It again is like a graduation requirement, but they want to know that you're proficient in a language. And there's different ways to meet it. One is by doing 2 years of high school foreign language. So if you did 2 years of French or Spanish or Arabic or Chinese or whatever in high school, you're done with this requirement, you're finished. Or let's say you grew up speaking a language and you're fluent in it, that also counts. You know, there's different ways to prove it by taking a test or other ways, but that will meet it. But if that's not you, you didn't take it in high school, you don't know another language, taking one of these classes will meet the UC requirement. So if you're doing if you are using the IGETSI, the pink paper, to go to Cal State, do you need to have a foreign language done? No, because this is a UC requirement only. All right? Everybody stand up. Give somebody a high five and say, we made it through the general ed patterns. Yes, we did it. Yay! So good. All right, so go ahead and have a seat. Go ahead and have a seat. So where can you find your general ed patterns? For the associate's degree, you're going to use the white pattern, the Mount SAC, for an AA or AS. For transfer, AAT or AST, you can use the CSU pattern, or if you're planning to transfer to a Cal State without doing an AAT. And then IGETSI can be used for an AAT or AST. It can be used to transfer to a Cal State or to a UC. Yes? So I would say meet with a counselor one-on-one. What school do you want to go to? USC. So USC has their own set of general ed requirements that do not match either of these patterns, and they have their own set of major requirements. But a lot of the same, like taking English, every school wants English. Taking math, every school wants math. So we can help you get some classes for your first semester, but in a one-on-one appointment with a counselor, we will look up that specific college and give you an exact list of what you need. Does that help? Okay, so these are the GE patterns. So, turn and talk. If you're planning to use a GE pattern, which one are you planning to use? So if you're going to another school, you might not use it. If you're getting a certificate, you may not use it, but everyone else should have a GE pattern. Turn and talk. Go.
option programs this year. You guys do with Mount, or sorry, with St. Mary's.
Yes, yeah, so what are they considered? You know, they are private school, but, you know, we'll go over the classes with you, but their classes are pretty set. They're not quite as outlandish. Or, but we'll just go over sure. But if you're doing that, you can start with these.
With the housekeeping and
market papers.
Oh,
Okay.
You're welcome. All right, go ahead and mark in your packet which GE pattern you plan to use. All right, if you feel like you know which of these 3 GE patterns work for you, give me a thumbs up. All right, everyone give me a thumbs up, so I won't ask if they won't work for you. But I know there's a few special cases out there. I will advise, Patricia will advise, Silver will advise, okay? So I want to show you one more website that could be very useful to you. So you guys remember your career cards, right? This is where we have our 9 career clusters in addition to the catalog. So let me show you this website. It is you can go to mountsac.edu/guided- like a minus sign dash, pathways. And what we've done with this website is you see those 9 clusters again, right? So you can click on whichever cluster goes with your major. So let's say I'm doing arts and design. Let's say I want to do art history. And I'm going to do the AAT in art history. So all associates and certificates will be here. If you're planning to transfer in engineering, we won't have a plan for you here, but anything for an AAT, AST, AS, AA, or certificate is on the website, okay? So let's say I want to do an AAT in art history. I click here and it actually shows me a potential course sequence. And counselors got together with art department faculty and we said, what would be a good way for students to get through your program? And so you can kind of see how it's all together. Like here you see you've got a couple of art classes, you've got a GE class, it says category E, so that could be counseling 5 if you wanted, or any other class, they're all great. And then English 1A, so this could be a good way to start. Then in the winter, you could take a speech class. Then in the spring, they have a lot of options, okay? So if you see an or, don't take all of them, just pick one of them, all right? And it's pretty cool to be able to see a sample education plan. Now, most students don't follow these exactly. What we really recommend is coming in to see us as counselors so we can customize it to you. But these do have the requirements on it, so you could follow this ed plan, okay? But it's a cool website and it's a cool way to kind of explore what your degree might look like. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. All right. Let's take another deep breath. All right, you guys are pros. I'm so impressed with you. You are keeping up. This is a lot of info. So next we're going to talk about your assessment results. So you can now, if you want, do you all know where your placement is for math and English? Yes. Do you feel like you know what class you need? All right, most of you are saying yes. A couple of you are like, no, but I don't want to raise my hand now. So I'm going to go over it with you a little bit, and then I'll work one-on-one with the people who were kind of saying, oh, okay. What you need to do this is you can go to the portal and you can do it under the Student Success tab and click on Assessment Questionnaire. This is how you find your results, okay? And we're gonna log on and do this in a minute. So you log on. Actually, I'll let you do it right now. Go ahead and log on and pull up your results so you can see it. You can move your computer screens now. So go ahead and log on to your portal. I like to go to mountsac.edu/AQ. It's a little faster. You can look up your assessment scores. If you have trouble, raise your hand and myself or another counselor will come and help you. Just go ahead and log on. If your computer doesn't work, there are more computers. Just go to mountsac.edu/AQ. AQ. And hit enter. And then we'll go here. log on. Yes, so you're just gonna plug your results. No worries.
So from the portal.
Yeah, in the portal, you go to student success.
Oh.
There's two ways. There you go. All right. So click right here. Okay. Yes. All right, I have to remember the fonts. We're gonna write them down. All right, everyone, it looks like most people have gotten it up on their screen. So we have some counselors floating around helping get you up to speed. And I'm just gonna keep on going a little bit. So you all should have a duplicate paper. This is what you're gonna write your classes on for your ed plan. So I want you to look on your screen and see where you've placed and go ahead and write down the English classes, whatever is listed there. So it will probably say English 1A or it will say English 1A and 80. So go ahead and write that down. And then you can also do the math placement scores.
Oh, you have it.
And reading if it's on there. Some people, depending on when they took the assessment questionnaire, will have reading, some won't. So just go ahead and write those in.
Right here, right?
Yes, right there, in those 3 boxes.
For the classes, yeah.
And write your name on it and your ID number while you're at it. That way we can enter it into your portal and you can get credit and the best possible registration date. It's just one of these. Now, so we're going to help you pick out your math and your English in a minute. As long as you've got it written down, that's all you need to do for right now. Now, does anybody know what is the only thing constant in life? Does anyone know? The only constant in life? No? Although that does seem like a reasonable answer.
Taxes?
Taxes are yes. Any other ideas? Change. Change is the constant. Change always happens. So I just had you write down your classes, right? But change is coming at Mount SAC. So even though you wrote this down and it's true right now, things are changing. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But I just want to prep your mind for that. Okay? So right now, your placement will be English 1A or English 1A plus English 80. Now, if they're recommending you to take English 1A plus 80, it's because they think you would benefit from an additional 1-unit class that is basically designed to help you pass English 1A. What do I think of this class? I think it's awesome. The English faculty have told us that it has really, really been helpful in helping students pass their English class. So I highly recommend adding this English class if it's on there. Now, none of you are coming in the spring. If you came in the spring and this is the only option that you had on your AQ, this is what you would have to take. You wouldn't be able to take English 1A all on its own. But we want you to check for updates during summer 2019 because we've been given a heads up that this might change. The requirement might change. But they'll never require more than what's on here. They just might require, they may make the English 80 class more optional. But we don't know yet, it's not official yet. Don't tell them that Emily said this, but it's likely gonna happen. So come back in the summer, check, and we'll tell you what the new thing is. All right, this is for ESL. This sequence is in your book, so wherever you've placed, if you placed like an AMLA 42, you take that, and then you take AMLA 90, and then you can take one of these English classes. If you do have ESL, if English is not your first language, I highly recommend English 1A, English 80, M for multilingual, because we want to honor the fact that you speak 2 languages. Awesome. And this class is designed with your needs in mind. You know, if English isn't your first language, there's different things that are going to be tricky for you about English than people who've grown up speaking it. So we want to make it useful to you. Again, could change. Check for updates in the summer. Okay. Reading. Right now, if you placed into Read 90, you have to take it, or AMLA 33, that's the English as a second language version of reading. These are required to be able to graduate. If you place in Read 100, you don't have to take a reading class, but Read 100 does count as a critical thinking class to transfer to a Cal State. So you might decide you want to take that class, but again, check for updates in the summer. Change. Changes. Okay, so this is just kind of a little overview of math. All of these classes are math that prepares you to get into intermediate algebra, which is what you need for an associate's degree. So this is like before the associate's degree, and they're in order. So you take Learn 48, then 49, then 50, then 51. If you place here, this is the only class you need for an associate's degree. You take that, you're finished if your goal is an associate's degree. But if you want to transfer, you have to do one level higher than intermediate algebra. If you do one of these classes, will we count it for your associates, or will we make you take this too? What do you think? Do you think we'll count this? Will this be sufficient? Yes, it will be sufficient. If you take one of these, you also meet the associate degree requirement. But if your only goal is associate, this is enough. All right? So, we have an official announcement about a change, okay? So that's why I said what you wrote down. Change. Okay, so here's the big deal. For years and years and years, you needed a prereq to get into college level math. But starting this summer, you can skip ahead. So no matter what was on your AQ, you can start in any of these green classes. So you can do Math 150 plus 15. So anywhere where you see a plus, that's a support class that's designed to help you pass. Do I recommend those? I do. A long time ago, you might have had to take, like if you came here 3 years ago, you might have started out here and had to take 3 math classes to get to that. Now we're letting you just take it. So do you think a support class would be a good idea? I think it would. Okay? So if you see a plus, that's a support class. This is the right class, 150, 51. If you're going into a STEM major, like science, technology, engineering, math, computer science, this is your path. If you're going into business or social sciences, these will work for you. For business, I'd recommend statistics and then a business calculus, or if you're going to UC, some of them require a regular calculus class. We'll help you one-on-one. And then statistics, this is statistics that works for a lot of majors. And then Math 100 is really great if you want to become an elementary school teacher. But like I was a history major, right? For a history major, you could pick any of these. Any of those would be fine. But if I was a psych major, I would need statistics specifically because it's in my major list. So we'll help you out. But cool, and this is in your packet. This chart is in your packet so you can see what the options are. Now you might be wondering, what is a unit? I've been throwing the word unit out there a lot, right? I told you it's kind of like credits in high school. But what a unit is a unit is 1 hour of class. So if you are gonna be in class 1 hour a week, that would be a 1 unit class. For 16 weeks, so it's like about 16 hours in class is 1 unit. A 3 unit class means 3 hours a week in class. 12 units would be 12 hours of class each week. So when you think of high school versus college, does this seem like you're gonna spend more time in class or less? Way less, right? 12 hours a week. That's awesome. When I was in high school, it was like 6 hours a day, you know? This is like 2 days. So why is it that we are in class so much less? Because we expect you to do a lot more on your own time. For every 1 hour that you're in class for non-science, we expect you to do 2 hours of study time. So, and if you're in a science class, we recommend up to 4 hours of study time for each hour you're in class. So let's say you're taking 12 units and you're not taking a science. So 12 hours you're in class, how many hours are you studying? 24, right? What's 24 plus 12? 36. All of a sudden you realize why you're a full-time student. That's 36 hours a week. Why am I telling you this? Because so many students see 12 hours a week, I can work full-time, woohoo! And then they fail all their classes and there are no probation workshops, right? Now, maybe someone has achieved that before, it's possible, but in general it doesn't work out very well. So if you work 40 hours a week, we recommend only taking 6 units. No more than that, 6 or less. If you're working 30 hours a week, we recommend only 9 units or less. For 20 hours a week, we recommend 12 units, and if you're just doing 5 to 15, we think you can handle 14 to 16 units. Because you're gonna have a lot of study time. And you can also think about if you have home obligations, like if you have to babysit or drive people places, we want all that to factor in. A full-time student is 12 units. So for financial aid purposes or for any other things like car insurance or like you've got to be full-time, 12 units is full-time, okay? So turn to your neighbor and tell them how many units you think you're going to take based on what you just learned. Go. And why? Tell them why you picked that.
I think the job from her, it's not gonna be that, like, that much time to take to, I'm still making it, so I think
No, wait.
All right.
I know.
Come back to me. All right, thumbs up if you know how many units you want to take. Thumbs down if you have no idea. All right, if you're not sure, it's okay. You got counselors here. We will help you out. So write that down as a question to ask as we walk along, okay? So now we're going to show you how to register. And this is a video. We're planning to put this on the counseling website so you can see it. But before we do the video, I just want to teach you a little bit of vocabulary, okay? Prerequisite. Pre. Say pre. Pre. This means before the class. Prerequisite. So it's a course you need or a test you need before you enroll in the class. So if I want to take, calculus, it might have a prereq of pre-calculus. Can I take them together? No, I have to take the prerequisite first, pre. All right, advisory, say advisory. Advisory, okay. A course which is highly recommended before enrolling in a course. Is this a requirement? No, it's an advisory. We might say, before you take this history class, we advise you to take, this English level first. But do you have to listen? It's your life. You can do whatever you want. You will not be stopped from enrolling, but you might think, okay, this is probably good advice. I think I will follow it. So you get to decide, okay? It's advice. All right, say co-requisite. Let's say it with some spirit, guys. Co-requisite. Thank you. All right, a course that must be taken simultaneously in order to enroll another course. So a co-requisite might be something like if you want to take the biology lab for Bio 1, well actually Bio 1's all together. For astronomy, you want to take the astronomy lab. You have to take that with astronomy. They won't let you take that all by itself. You have to take them together. Now, with many co-requisites, you could do the astronomy lecture and then do the lab later because you already did it. But there are some classes that are actually linked in the schedule and you have to take them at the same time. So co-requisite at the same time, okay? So this is what the schedule looks like. So I'll show you here, Psych 1A, that's like the name of the class. This shows you degree applicable means it counts towards AAAS, CSU or UC means it transfers to a Cal State or a UC, or you can use it towards your AAT, right? Because you need transferable units for a transfer degree. This gives you the prerequisite eligibility for English 1A, which pretty much everyone has now, most people, unless you're doing ESL. Advisory eligibility for Read 100. So do you have to have Read 100 first? No, just advice, right? And then this is the description. It tells you about the class, and this tells you when and where the class is and who the teacher is. All right, now, finally, we have a video. So watch the video because this is going to be very helpful to you. And I think all my video links, I messed up. So I will own that. That was a me thing. But luckily, I know where all of them are.
In this video, I'm going to show you how to register using the schedule of classes. So click on schedule of classes and click on search for classes. And we can go ahead and look some classes up to register for. First, you want to start by checking and making sure it's the right term. So we want to register for spring 19, so we're in the right place. Then you want to choose the class you want to register in. So I'm going to pick English 1C. Open classes only, yes. I'm going to hit submit. And here we have the English 1C classes. Now here it gives you the course name, Critical Thinking and Writing. Shows its degree applicable, transfers to Cal State, UC. It's part of the IGETC pattern. It also shows us that it has a prerequisite of English 1A or English 1A honors. So if you have not taken English 1A yet, or the equivalent, you won't be able to take this class because a prerequisite means this course is required before this course. Another thing I want to point out is there's some symbols at the top of the page. So this symbol means the class is for dual enrollment, meaning high school students dual enrolled at Mount SAC. That's what the class is for. We also have co-requisite. That means you have to take the two classes together. This symbol is the bridge for the bridge program. These are also linked courses, but you have to be part of the bridge program or approved by the bridge program in order to take them. The Pathways program is again 2 linked courses, but instead of taking them at the same time, both 16 courses, you'll take one class for 8 weeks and then another class for 8 weeks. This shows you that the class is online. This shows you that the textbook is free, my favorite price. So if we scroll down, you will see the status of the courses. So this shows us if the class is open or if it's full. If it says waitlist open, it means all the seats are full, but there is room to add to the waitlist. So if one of those students drops, you can still potentially register for the class. If it says open, you can go ahead and just sign up immediately as long as you meet the prerequisite. What you don't see here is closed because we searched open classes only. If it says closed, it means the class is full and the waitlist is full. So the only chance to get into that class would be to show up the first day and see if maybe people didn't show up and see if the teacher would add you. So that's open and waitlist. This is where you can look for those symbols. This is a Pathways course, 8 weeks, like I told you about. Down here we have bridge classes. This is the CRN. So this 5-digit number specifies what exact section you are taking. This is what you'll need to register. This shows you how many units the class is. This shows you what days the class meets, what time the class meets, and where the class meets. This shows you the capacity. So this class allows 25 students. The actual number is 16. The remaining spots is 9. Here's the instructor. Here are the dates of the class. Here's how many weeks. long the class is. So that gives you some good information there. Let's go back. Let's look at another class. You can also look for classes in your major. So let's say your major was alcohol and drug counseling. You can click in here. You don't even have to pick a course actually. You could just hit submit. And we could look at all the open classes in your major and check to see if there's any prerequisites. AD1 does not have any prerequisites. So if I wanted to take this class, it's open. I just need the course number, 41668. And I would go to the portal, I would log in, I would click on the student tab, and then I'd pick for register. I would hit submit, and then let me just look at that number again. So I wanted 41669. And I just put it here, 41669. Hit submit changes. And look, right here it shows that I am web registered. If I wanted to drop the class, here is where I would choose to drop the class. And I could just keep doing that over and over again until I had all the classes I want. You can also do a class search here within the add drop screen, but I think that one is a little harder to read, so I like using the schedule of classes. When you're done, you can order your books and pay for classes. Right here is how you pay for classes. You can also create a printout of your student schedule by clicking here, and you can print that out so you can take that with you and know what day and time your classes that you registered for. So there you go. That's how to use the schedule of classes to register.
All right. So, do you feel like that helped you understand how you can look up classes and put them in? We also have included those steps to register in your packet. So if you don't remember everything from the video, use the packet. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get this video up on the counseling website so you can review it again if you found it helpful. All right, I've got a few more things to tell you before we get to the main event, which is, of course, choosing those classes. So these are a few tips before you start. And these are very important, okay? If you do not pay for your classes, like I showed you how in the video, they can drop you from your classes. So you could have picked these perfect classes, they drop you, let someone else take it, and now you try to register again and it's full. So you definitely want to pay for your classes on time. There is a deadline for every class on how long you can get a refund. It's usually around the 2-week mark, but look in the schedule for the exact day and time, or look in your portal, it will tell you there. If you drop it after the refund date, you will not get your money back, but it won't show up on your transcript. So drop means it won't be on your transcript. It's a very short period of time where you can drop a class. If you want to withdraw from a class after the 2 weeks are over, for the first part of the semester, if something's not working out, maybe your work schedule changes or your major changes, you don't want to take that class anymore, you can withdraw from it. On your transcript, it will have a W. If you have too many W's, it can cause problems, but if you just have a couple, it's fine. And then you don't have a bad grade on your transcript. W's do not affect your GPA. You don't have to retake them. All right? On the first day of class, but just check the deadlines, because once you miss the deadline, it's over. First day of class, attend the first day. If you don't show up, the teacher could give your seat away. They can just drop you and add someone else. You don't want that to happen. Be on time, and then attend all the classes where you're waitlisted. There are times where I've seen like there's all these people on the wait list, and I think, oh, should I even go? But I've gone, and all the waitlist people just maybe found another class or didn't show up, and I've been able to add. So it all depends. You might go and there's 30 people waiting in the room. You might go and there's space in the room. All right? But you can show up for the wait list and see if the teacher will add you. People often don't show up the first day. All right. Now we're going to develop your first semester plan. And I wanna kinda go over some possible classes for you, and you're gonna write them down on that double sheet, okay? It's good to take a math class your first semester. Now, many of you are starting in the summer, so you might wanna think about doing the bridge program or doing the STEP program in the summer. You could do that and a general ed course, or and a math, or and an English, or you could just do an English class or math class, whatever you decide is best for you. But you might wanna think in the fall, what would you like to take for your first fall semester? Because in the summer, 1 or 2 classes, that's it. Don't take more than that. 1 might be good, but 1 or 2. But in the fall, you might want to take a math class, an English class, maybe a class in your major would be good. Why do you think it's a good idea to take a major class early on?
To see if you like what you're getting into.
Yes, to see what you like. You might take that class your first semester and you're like, this is it. I totally chose right. I love this. I'm so excited and motivated knowing I can take more of these classes and get my degree in this major. Or you might take it and go, oh, this is not what I thought. I think maybe I want to do something else. Let me go to see a counselor or go to an undecided workshop and see what else there is for me. Now, if you wait till the end and you do all your general ed and then all your major, what if you don't like your major? You're done with your general ed, it's almost time to transfer. That's stressful. We don't want you to be stressed out, okay? So consider taking a major course. And then think about maybe taking a counseling class. Some of you might take Counseling 1 over the summer or Counseling 51 over the summer. These are both 1-unit classes. Counseling 2 is a great class, Strategies for College Success. It teaches you how to be a good college student, how to take notes, how to study better, how to have the right mindset to do well in school. It's really fun. People love that class. I've taught it many times, so I like it. There's also Career and Life Planning that we talked about. That's 3 units as well. These 1-unit classes are good for, and 2-unit classes are good for elective credit. Counseling 1 basically teaches you what college is all about. That's what the 2-week class is for STEP. I believe Bridge is doing Counseling 51, which is kind of like Counseling 5, except instead of 3 units, it's just 1 unit. So it's kind of like an abbreviated version. So for those of you who are thinking, what do I want my major to be? What do I want my career to be? The Bridge program could give you a good intro into that with Counseling 51. All right, and then general ed courses can also be a great choice. You might decide to take a speech class or one of the other general ed classes. This list, are you gonna take everything on this list? No, because I said don't take too many classes, right? You only need 12 units. So you might do a math and English and a GE, that's great. You might be part-time and say math and English is enough. Or you might say, I just wanna do a major class. All of those are fine options. So you can go ahead and write them down. I'm gonna give you the choice to write down classes for fall, and then you can pick one of those for summer just so you have a bigger list. Or you could just pick your summer classes, either is fine on this form. But now it's time for you to actually pick. I just wanna show you a couple mistakes people can make. One is taking too many classes in one area. They're like, I know I need a lot of history classes, and so they take a bunch of history in it. Then they're like, oh, you took 4, you only needed 2. Darn it, I wish I'd known. So taking too many is a problem. Another is taking a GE course when your major course will double count. So someone here said they were interested in nursing. Nursing majors require psychology, they require speech, they require some different classes that will meet the GE as well. So you don't want to take different ones. You want to take the ones that go with your major. Counselors will help you. Taking your own math for your major will help you with that. Not starting your major classes soon enough. We already talked about that. All right, so if you want, go ahead and go onto the website. Go to mountsac.edu/guided-pathways. I'll give you a minute to get there. All right, so if you find your major here on the Guided Pathways website, you'll get to see what are some of the first semester recommendations that the faculty in that department had. Now, if you're planning to transfer into a major we don't have, you don't need to use the Guided Pathways website. So here's what you are free to do now, okay? So everyone, let's focus one last time. I know, I can see you guys getting ready for a deep breath. Yes, you know me now. So we'll take one more deep breath and we'll use our hands. Go. And stretch a little. Stretch. Stretching is good. You know, when you move, you get 20% more oxygen to your brain. You can stand up if you want. And that means you could learn up to 20% better. So now you guys are totally ready to go. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick out some classes. So you might want to start with math and English. We're going to walk around and help you. You can go on Assist to look at major classes. You can go to the catalog to look up major classes. You can use the Guided Pathways website to look up major classes. Do you have to plan out your entire education right now? Do you just need to come up with a few classes that you know won't be a waste of your time? Yes. So relax. Go ahead and start writing down classes. You've got now 4 counselors. We've got one more. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, Brittany. I'm Jasmine.
So Jasmine is here. So the 4 of us, we're going to help you figure out what classes are good for you. Just raise your hand if you need help. Look, like there's practically one for every 2 of you. So you are in good hands. Go ahead and write down the classes you plan to take. Once you're done, we will sign off that we agree these are good choices. You will take one half, we will take one half, okay? Go. Any questions? Oh, I should have said that first. Any questions? All right, we'll help you one-on-one.
Let's go. So, any questions? All right. I'll go right here, right? Like what area do you think you're interested in? Tell me if you want to go to this. So, yeah, go to business and information, sir.
Under which,
Are you thinking of transferring? Transferring to university? Yeah. Okay, which one? What do you think of? Scroll down. Alright, so you want to look at.
It doesn't stop.
what do you mean?
Like
how
in terms of
how the semester works with the summer?
No, just how my so if they're home,
it's okay.
So just to mention,
We're just trying to give you a list.
not a 16 weeks. Semesters are for spring and fall. Those are 16 weeks. The summer is the session, usually courses can be like
Alright, let's go back to, scroll down, lower down, go back to each of the pathways homepage.
So you could take statistics.
Scroll down.
What's your major?
Scroll down some more.
summer. Yeah, and then I want to try this fall.
Okay, that's because this cluster, first of all, that cluster emphasis simulation. It's not giving us the full, this is only AS and related fields. And then programs and economies. So, let me see, go to business. Not that anybody would know, but yeah, the one up there. Click on that. Does it do anything? Oh, it doesn't light up. Alright, so, transfer only study. Okay, scroll down. So, here's suggested coursework. GEs, but there's major prep as well, so statistics. This is the first accounting class, BOC 7, 5 minutes, then first for comp, total 12 minutes. Keep scrolling down, there's a business law. Keep scrolling down.
Yeah, actually,
then spring semester, they're recommending a humanities, remember area C for the Cal State, that yellow sheet. There's the second accounting class. BUSC at 25, there's communications. Then they're recommending speeches. Most people do a speech one. Let's go scroll down some more. GE, area D perhaps. And then fall semester. Good information system 11, that's good. That's on there. The first economics class, the top one, the USC 1A. And then some more general eds,
I
scroll
would for
down.
what you're interested in, I did
Some more, there's your critical thinking and writing. Then your BOC would be the second macroeconomics instead of micro. History class, art class, these are general eds.
And you might
Yeah, scroll down some more.
110 is just.
Alright, that looks like that's it. So scroll all the way to the top. What are you eligible for?
That's just a
For math and English,
Says I'm eligible to take.
Now, one thing that she missed, on the ASTs, there's no qualifications for reading or PE class. The regular AA degrees or AS, that's associated with science, but without the letter T, then you have to do the reading class and it have to do the PE. But you're exempted from all of that with the AST, which lets you transfer. I also guarantees that she mentioned, you only have to do 60 minutes where you're over there, which saves you money. A lot of colleges stack up another 10 minutes and make some money, right? Math, 51. So for your major business, go back up, down back up to the guided pathways thing. Well, statistics was the only thing. We just got told that there was a hiccup yesterday in the meeting, but we'll go with what's stated. So math 51, which is the rough equivalent of algebra 1 in high school. 71, which is intermediate algebra, the rough equivalent of algebra 2, and then the stats. So you're gonna put here English 1A.
This is just because it's still, that's what the placement is right now, but we'll leave it to that.
And when you enter it, it'll just be the first 4 letters. E N G L, and then 1 L, right? Just like the one you see up there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then, math course, yeah, math 51. Yeah, 40 minutes. Math 51, 40 minutes. Now they say you can self-place these days. Or does it go higher? Like, where did you go? What was your highest math in high school?
I'm still in high school.
Okay.
I'm taking
What's math 3? What does that entail? What's in it?